Hi students, welcome back. As promised, we're here to do a few videos to help you with your assignments that you received in your paper packets. This first one that I'm going to be talking about is page 201 for Unit 5, Week 1. By the way, you should still be doing Unit 5, Week 1 until this Wednesday, but I know a lot of you didn't start it until Friday or even today. So don't worry. We'll make it through, but our weeks are going Wednesday to Wednesday, a little different than what we did before. So I just wanted to talk to you about the vocabulary. Now, if you remember, we actually did discuss these vocabulary words before we left school. So these are a little bit familiar, but I'm just going to remind you of them. So the first word is admit. So to admit to something is to tell the truth about your participation or involvement in something. The word admit does usually mean that your participation was negative in some way. So to use it in a sentence, Joe had to admit that he had stolen the book. Okay, so Joe had to tell the truth that he had stolen the book. The next word, creation. I wonder if anyone remembers what the root word of creation is. Create, right? So the root word of creation is create. To create means to make new for the first time. So creation is something that's been made for the first time. So you could do a creation if you're doing an art piece. Of some kind. It could be your creation, or a written story is a creation, something that you make and it exists for the first time. The next word is considered. It's kind of a little easier to spot the root word here because we can just take off the ed ending of considered and we get consider. To consider something is to think carefully about something. So considered is the past tense of that verb, to think carefully. Humble. We talked in class about humble, meaning not proud or not thinking too highly of yourself. We said it's usually used for people, but sometimes you will see it used to describe objects that just don't attract a lot of attention to themselves. Same as people who choose not to attract too much attention to themselves. Magnificent. You may spot the root word here. The root word is magnify, like a magnifying glass. Same root word as magnificent. If something is magnificent, it's made large, okay? It's made big. It's so wonderful, or grand was a vocabulary word we had at the beginning of the school year. So magnificent means not only wonderful or amazing, but also very grand or large in some way. Next word is payment. I think you can spot the root word on payment. Pay, right? So payment, we talked in class about how meant, when we add meant to the end of a word, M-E-N-T, it turns a word into a noun. So pay is a verb, and when we add M-E-N-T, it becomes a noun. So payment is what I make when I pay for something. I make a payment on it. To barter, that is a word we talked about, could be used in your Shumash stories. To barter means to trade, to exchange one thing for another, usually with some amount of negotiation to make sure that both sides get the deal that they want. So that's barter. And then reluctantly, this is our lone adverb. We don't have very many adverbs, but we can spot them easily because they end in ly, like the word easily. So reluctantly, if I take off the ly, I get reluctant. If you're reluctant, you don't want to do something. So if you're doing something reluctantly, hopefully not page 201, if you're doing something reluctantly, you're doing it in a way that shows that you don't really want to do it. Okay, so that's just an overview of the vocabulary words. Match the clues to the word, and then it says write the word or use the word in a sentence. So that's what you'll write here. Please remember capitals, periods, and I've already gotten some questions from parents about whether or not this is your best handwriting. So please show them your best handwriting. Thank you, students. Talk to you soon. Bye.